Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. I want to say a public thank you to all of you out there. We have crossed the 10,000 subscriber threshold on YouTube. Today, funny enough, is our 3-year anniversary of doing this podcast on YouTube. We did about 3.5-ish years audio only before we got into the YouTube sphere. And I'll tell you what, YouTube has completely opened the floodgates in terms of just opening the door to thousands of Cougar fans out there like yourselves who have found this show. And 10,000 subscribers is nothing to sniff at. Yes, we are not the biggest podcast out there in the world. There are much bigger and better podcasts, but the bigger point I want to make is thank you to the 10,000 plus of you who believe in us on YouTube. There are thousands more of you who listen to us on various audio formats, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, iHeart. There's so many different ways to consume this podcast. And to each and every one of you, I say this often, thank you for the support. It doesn't go unnoticed. The love, the I don't know, the overall support you guys give to this, and it means the world to me. So thank you for doing that. All right, that being said, let's talk BYU football. They got another big pickup as part of the 2025 recruiting cycle. That is Nusi Taumoepeau from Saratoga Springs, Utah, and Westlake High School. Yes, Saratoga Springs is where I live. I have had a chance to watch Nusi play a fair amount for the Westlake Thunder. And yes, while Westlake may be one of the teams that is usually more near the bottom of their region standings, obviously playing in what they like to call the SEC of Utah high school football, was Region 4, it's moved region names, but we're talking about the Corner Canyons, the American Forks, the Lone Peaks. They have been in that region for years. And yes, it's been a tough slog for Westlake, but does not mean that Westlake has not been producing top-tier talent, and Nusi is just the latest to come out of Westlake High School. A 4-star talent who originally signed and committed with Stanford, and then in the wake of the Troy Taylor firing last week, or was that? Yeah, it was last week. He decided he's going to open things up. He asked for a release from his signing with Stanford. They obviously released him from that, and decided to start looking around. And it's not that BYU was the only program out there that was willing to say, hey, we'll take you right now. There were a handful of others, and he has had high-profile offer after high-profile offer throughout his recruiting process. We're talking the who's who of college football came to Westlake High School to talk to Nusi, and as his Twitter handle says, the noose is loose. And the thing I love about this is this adds another premier pass rush talent to BYU's defense. Ephraim Asiata was a really, really nice pickup for BYU, and I think that he's going to carve out a bigger and bigger role for himself in time with the BYU football program. The one thing that Ephraim does not have that Nusi already has coming into BYU as a true freshman is Nusi Taumoepeau is a legit 6'2", 230 to 240-pound bowling ball of pure fury rushing the quarterback. I tried yesterday. I mentioned when we talked about Taigechi and his commitment to BYU, I couldn't get the huddle highlights to work. I think I've got an issue with my StreamYard. I'm going to continue to work on this guy. I would love to show you what I see from Nusi Taumoepeau. I will encourage you to just Google Nusi Taumoepeau huddle and watch his highlights. He gets after the quarterback with a relish, a passion, just a driving desire to inflict as much pain as possible on opposing quarterbacks. I don't know how much of a role he can carve out for himself as a true freshman for BYU, especially among a defensive end core that's got a lot of bodies in it. But the one thing that he brings that I think that he and guys like Ephraim Asiata can offer that you can use in specialty packages is say, Nusi, you're rushing the quarterback, go get him. That's what Nusi Taumoepeau will be able to offer to BYU as soon as this fall. He absolutely brings it. And it's not that he's a one-trick pony when it comes to rushing the quarterback. He's got the ability to drop into coverage. He's got the ability to play the run really, really well as a linebacker. I expect him to be one of these hybrid guys that at times drops into coverage for BYU despite lining up a defensive end. He can be in a 2-point stance, a 3-point stance. It doesn't matter. Opposing offensive tackles are going to learn that this kid has got incredible closing speed. He's got a really, really advanced skill set in terms of using his hands to shed blocks. And once he gets to the quarterback, it's straight violence. And I've seen him with my own eyes multiple times. I've called games he's played in. And the other side of it that I love about him is he's a true team player. Last year, Westlake dealt with a bevy of quarterback injuries, and as the season progressed, they essentially just had no options on the roster. So what did they do? Said, we're going to go Wildcat. And Noose, you're going to be our Wildcat quarterback. And I called a game against Lone Peak that Lone Peak, Westlake, they all knew that Nusi Taumoepeau was going to run the football at quarterback on offense. All Nusi did was stick his nose in there behind his offensive line and pick up as much yardage as he could. Yes, Lone Peak was about as stingy a defense as you will see in the high school ranks in Utah high school football, but Noose produced at that level, and he's a true team player because, like I said, he easily could have said, Coach, I'm a one-way guy. I play defense. I'm not too keen on playing Wildcat quarterback and getting plastered by opposing linebackers, defensive ends, and defensive tackles. No, he didn't say that at all. He took the challenge and he produced, even though everybody, and I'm sitting up on the top of a press box hundreds of feet away. I knew he was running the football. The opposing team knew he was running the football, and all he did was find a hole and find creases and produce for Westlake High School. That told me a lot about the character of this young man. And yes, the fact that he was enrolling at Stanford means he's got high academics and will fit in, obviously, on that side of things when it comes to BYU. He talked after he committed to BYU to 24/7 Sports. He told Blair Angelo that he's looking forward to playing in front of a packed audience. And he's been to a number of BYU games on unofficial visits. The one thing that Stanford, no matter who they recruit, they cannot sell this, is a sold out frenzied crowd. That just does not exist at Stanford. They get 5, maybe 10,000 people out to watch their games. And let's just put it this way, the vast majority of those actually at the games are more interested in other things than the actual football product on the field. Back-to-back 3-9 seasons for Stanford. The Cardinal that were so good in the late 20-aughts into the early 20-teens, they have fallen on hard times and just fired their head coach. They brought in Frank Reich as an interim coach. There's a lot of things going against Stanford right now, but that does not mean that they are not attractive. But Noose decided, you know what, with Troy Taylor, the uncertainty, I want to go somewhere else. And he turned to his hometown team because Provo, he grew up in Saratoga Springs in Utah County. BYU is it. And I can assure him, if he's watching this podcast, he will have 60,000 plus people in the stands at Lavelle Edwards Stadium who will be more than happy to cheer him on. The student section and the lay fan themselves, no matter who it is in Cougar Nation, you're going to love this kid. I absolutely love what I see from him on film. I love what I've seen from him with my own eyes. He looks like a premier talent that could be the next great BYU pass rusher. And I sincerely hope he lives up to the billing because he has got all the talent in the world. There was I think it was it Greg Biggins from 24/7 Sports says that you can see a little bit of Troy Polamalu in him, albeit playing a different position because Troy Polamalu had the hair flowing out of his helmet, much like Nusi does. You can see that. Troy Polamalu, all he wanted to do playing football was inflict pain on whoever he was hitting. Well, I can tell you, Noose wants to do that exact same thing, and he'll do it for the BYU football program. And I think the Cougars got a major pickup about as late in the recruiting cycle as you possibly can make it in the 2025 recruiting class. But all the better, the more the merrier. It's all good news for BYU. Adding a like Nusi Taumoepeau, 4-star talent, premier kid, just in terms of him being a human being. And the nice part is he looks like he can make an impact as soon as this fall as a true fit freshman for the BYU football program. So get ready. The noose is about to be turned loose for BYU. And I, for one, cannot wait to see it all go down.